I, Tang Sua, an utterly ordinary office drone, I woke up one day and found myself transmigrated into a tragic novel that epitomized all the cliches of early, melodramatic dog blood plots, becoming the saintly female lead who was physically and emotionally abused by the male lead, had her kidney removed and blood exchanged, and in the end, had to smile and bless him and his white moonlight with a happy union. The system in my head chimed with a ding. Please maintain character and follow the plot, or face elimination. I looked at the pale yet beautiful face in the mirror and smiled, maintaining the character, sure, following the plot, that works too, it's just that they didn't seem to tell me how to do it. So then, the domineering CEO male lead said, "You wicked woman, donate a kidney to Nyen Nyen right now." I dialed 911, "Hello, officer. There's someone here forcing the sale and purchase of human organs," the white moonlight female lead said. "Sister, it's all my fault. Please don't blame Mei Yen." I immediately slapped her back, then clutched my wrist and fell to the ground. "Ah, my hand hurts so much." "You actually hit me," the kidnapper said. "Come with us," I said. "Boss, do you provide the 5 social insurances and 1 housing fund? What's the hourly wage? Is there overtime pay?" The system said. "Warning, warning, severe character deviation." I said, "Quiet. I'm educating these brainless idiots on the law." This is a hilarious story about how a normal person, in a world of tragic novels filled with lunatics, carves a bloody path out using law and logic. Don't talk to me about feelings, it hurts my wallet. Don't play sadomasochistic love games with me, I'm afraid you'll end up in the hospital first. When I woke up, my head was throbbing as if it were about to split open. It wasn't the kind of pain from a hangover, but more like the ache from being struck by a blunt object, before my eyes even opened. A cold, mechanical voice echoed in my mind, "Ding, host Tang Sua, identity binding successful, world loading, the CEO's heart-imprisoning love, current role, Tang Sua, the tragic heroine, main mission, maintain the persona of, kind, resilient, and willing to sacrifice for love, and complete all plot points, mission failure penalty, erasure." I jolted awake and sat up abruptly. Before me wasn't my 30 square meter rented apartment, but a bedroom so large it could host a sports meet. A dazzling crystal chandelier hung from the ceiling, and the bed beneath me was so soft I could sink right into it. My name is Tang Sua, that's right, but I'm just Tang Sua, a corporate drone who squeezes onto the subway every day, survives on takeout, and gets tortured to death by clients, not some tragic romance heroine. I pinched my own thigh. Pain, a heart-wrenching pain. This is not a dream. Fragments of memories flooded into my mind like a movie reel. The original owner was also named Tang Sua. An orphan unloved by both father and mother, because of a face strikingly similar to the male lead's white moonlight, she was married by the male lead, Gu Yan, to serve as a substitute. 3 years into their marriage, Gu Yan treated her like a disposable object, summoning her at will, dismissing her without a second thought, often throwing tantrums, tossing checks, and hurling verbal abuse. This so-called white moonlight was named Jiang Nian. A fragile woman who fell ill every 3 days and fainted every 5, practically living on medication. Recently, Jiang Nian's kidneys had failed. The doctor said she needed a transplant. Coincidentally, the original host's kidney was the most compatible match for hers in the entire world. Thus, the following plot unfolded. Gu Yan, with reddened eyes, cornered the original host against a wall, pinched her chin, and forced her to donate a kidney to Jiang Nian. The original host cried and screamed. "I don't want to," but her body was honest. She was eventually pushed into the operating room. Not only did she donate a kidney, but due to a postoperative infection, her health deteriorated, and she passed away within 2 years. Before dying, she still had to grasp Gu Yan's hand, wishing him and Jiang Nian happiness. After reading this plot, my blood pressure shot through the roof. Is this something a human being would do? Ding. Plot node about to activate. The CEO's kidney-seizing phone call. Please prepare yourself, host, and display a complex mix of grief, resistance, and the fear of defying authority. I took a deep breath and spoke to the air. "So, you're the system, right? I have a question for you." "Go ahead." "Maintaining the human abode means upholding kindness and resilience, correct?" "Yes." "Then, within the bounds of the law, being a law-abiding good citizen, does that count as kindness?" "It counts." "Protecting one's legal property and bodily organs, does that count as resilience?" Stop hemming and hawing. Are you going to do it or not? I'll do it. All right, I understand. I threw off the covers and stepped barefoot onto the cold floor, walking up to the enormous floor-length mirror. The person in the reflection looked exactly like me, but with a pale complexion, lips lacking color, and eyes carrying a lingering, inescapable melancholy. This was the quintessential face of a tragic romance heroine. I tugged at the corner of my mouth, unable to muster a smile. Just then, the phone on the table began to buzz with a low, steady vibration. 2 words flickered on the screen. Gu Yan, it's here. I answered the call without speaking. A man's voice came from the other end of the line, cold and hard, as if tempered with ice. Tang Sua, come to Central Hospital right now. It's an order, not a suggestion. I cleared my throat and said in a soft but clear voice, I'm not going. There was a pause on the other end of the line, as if he hadn't expected me to refuse. What did you say? His voice dropped, carrying a dangerous edge. I said, I'm not going, I repeated, walking to the window and pulling back the heavy curtains. Sunlight instantly poured in, stinging my eyes. Gu Yan, do you think there's something wrong with my head? Gu Yan was probably caught off guard by my question. What kind of game are you playing now? I'm not playing any tricks. I gazed at the neatly trimmed lawn in the garden below. Let me ask you, Jiang Nian is a person, but am I not one too? Her life is precious, but isn't mine. Why should I donate a kidney to her? Just because you like her. If you like her, you should donate your own kidney to her, not come to me. I spoke slowly, each word deliberate, exceptionally calm. Warning, warning. Host's character setting is severely deviating. Please immediately display emotions such as crying and pleading. I ignored the alarm in my head. Gu Yan was left speechless by my retort, finally roaring in anger. Tang Sua, don't push your luck. Nian Nian is in critical condition. Do you believe I can make your entire family suffer for this? I chuckled. Sure, I'll be waiting. I'm an orphan. No father, no mother, no relatives, no connections. Which entire family of mine are you going to make suffer? How about you go dance on my parents' graves, see if they'll crawl out from underground to find you, and, I cut him off. I formally inform you that, according to Article 4 of the Regulations on Human Organ Transplantation, human organ donation must adhere to the principles of voluntariness and non-compensation. Citizens have the right to donate or not donate their organs. No organization or individual may coerce, deceive, or induce others into donating their organs. Your current actions already constitute the crime of coercing others into organ donation. I've recorded everything. I paused for a moment, listening to his increasingly heavy breathing, and added, by the way, just a reminder. If you call to harass me again or send someone to corner me, I'll call the police immediately. Whether you end up visiting Jiang Nian at the hospital with the police or drinking tea at the station, the choice is yours. With that, I hung up the phone, blocked the number, and powered off, all in one smooth motion. Peace at last. The system in my head fell silent. After a long while, it finally emitted a faint, buzzing sound of electric current. Host, what's wrong with me? I walked into the walk-in closet and picked out the only bright yellow dress that caught my eye from the rows of dull-colored clothes. I abide by the law and protect my legitimate rights and interests. Isn't that what you call kindness and resilience? Or do I have to say thank you after having my kidney stolen to be considered kind? The logic is irrefutable. Then that's settled. I changed my clothes, applied a light makeup, and the person in the mirror looked much more refreshed. I picked up the car keys and wallet from the table, ready to head out. An aunt dressed in maid's attire stopped me. Madam, the master has instructed that you are not to leave the house. I looked at her and smiled. Auntie Wang, first, I am not a prisoner. Second, you are not a prison guard. Third, the salary Gu Yan pays you is for taking care of me, not for keeping watch over me. Step aside. My voice was not loud, but it was firm. Auntie Wang hesitated for a moment, but still did not move. Madam, please don't make things difficult for me. All right, I won't make things difficult for you. I nodded, took out my phone, and turned off the airplane mode. Right in front of her, I dialed 911. Hello, police. I'd like to report a crime. I'm being held against my will. The location is Star C Villa area, Building A. Aunt Wang's face instantly turned pale as she snatched my phone and hung up. Madam, I didn't mean it that way. Please, go ahead. I took back my phone, waved at her, and turned to go downstairs, driving the red Ferrari in the garage. I stepped on the accelerator, and the roar of the engine sounded much better than Gu Yan's shouting. The weather is so nice today. perfect for having some hot pot. As for Gu Yan and his white moonlight, whoever loves them, let them, just don't bother me. The hot pot restaurant was steaming with heat. I ordered a whole table full of dishes: tripe, pork aorta, duck intestines, fatty beef rolls, piled up like a small mountain. Back when I was a corporate drone, I had to think twice before having hot pot, checking whether I'd hit my KPI for the month. Now it's different. I flipped through the original owner's wallet. It was filled with black cards, gold cards, and all sorts of high-end credit cards. Any one of them would be enough to keep me eating hot pot for a lifetime. That's the only perk of being the female lead in a tragic romance novel. Even if my life isn't worth much, the money is certainly plentiful. As I dipped the tripe into the boiling broth, I started thinking about what to do next. According to the plot, after the phone threat fails, Gu Yan will personally come to my door to confront me, staging a Cheong Yao-style drama of, "You're heartless, you're shameless, you're unreasonable." Then, he will forcibly drag me to the hospital, lock me in the room next to Jiang Nian's ward, and brainwash me. Thinking of this, the tripe in my mouth no longer tastes good. No, I can't let him succeed. I ate and drank my fill, packed up a bunch of desserts, and drove my Ferrari back to the villa. Just as I reached the entrance, I saw a black Bentley blocking the garage. A tall, handsome man in a black suit, with a face as cold as ice, was leaning against the car door smoking. It was Gu Yan. He saw my car, crushed his cigarette but hard against the ground, stomped it out, and strode toward me with long, determined steps. His presence was so intense, it felt like he was about to devour someone. I stayed in the car without moving, just rolling down the window. "What's up?" I asked. Gu Yan's fists clenched with a crackling sound, his eyes bloodshot as if he had stayed up for several nights in a row. "Tang Sua, what exactly do you want before you'll save Nian Nian? Didn't I already tell you, donating a kidney is illegal?" "I won't do it." I took out the packed mango pudding and scooped a spoonful to eat. "So sweet, breaking the law." He sounded as if he had heard the biggest joke in the world. "In this city, what I, Gu Yan, say is the law." I looked at him and shook my head seriously. "No, what you say isn't the law. It's bullshit." "What did you say?" Gu Yan's face turned ashen. "I'm saying you're legally illiterate and need a refresher in 9-year compulsory education." I tossed the empty pudding cup into the passenger side trash bag. "On the soil of the People's Republic of China, there's no room for you to play the local tyrant. If you really had that kind of power, why don't you go lift the lid off the Pacific Ocean?" Local tyrant Yan's chest heaved violently, clearly infuriated by my words. Ding, detected intense emotional fluctuations in the male lead, with signs of violent tendencies. Host, please immediately show weakness, retreat to advance, and stimulate the male lead's protective instincts. Protective instincts. He just wants to tear me apart right now. Tang Sua, I don't have time to waste words with you. Gu Yan stepped forward, reaching out to pull my car door. "Get out of the car now and come with me to the hospital." My eyes turned cold as I directly pressed the lock button. With a beep, the car door remained firmly shut. I also took the opportunity to roll up the car window. "Gu Yan, I'm warning you for the last time. Stay away from my car. You dare threaten me." The veins at his temples bulged as he slammed his fist against the window. A dull thud echoed through the air. I was startled. Not because I was afraid of him, but because I was worried about my car. "This is a Ferrari. How much would it cost to repair it?" Without another word, I took out my phone and, right in front of him, dialed 911 again. This time, I put it on speakerphone. "Hello, this is the emergency call center. Officer, I need to report a crime." My voice carried just the right amount of panic and trembling. "Someone is at the entrance of Building A in the Star C Villa District, deliberately damaging my personal property and threatening me. I'm currently trapped in my car and can't get out. I'm so scared." The officer on the other end of the line was professional. "Ma'am, please don't be afraid. How many people are there? Do they have any weapons?" I glanced through the car window at Gu Yan's livid face. "Just one person, a man, who seems very emotionally unstable, like a madman. He just punched my car with his fist, and I'm afraid he might do something even more extreme in a moment." Gu Yan's face had turned from ashen to a purplish red. He pointed at me, his lips trembling, but not a single word could come out. "Understood, ma'am. We'll dispatch officers immediately. Please stay inside your vehicle, lock the doors, do not provoke him, and ensure your own safety." Okay, thank you, officer." I hung up the phone and flashed an innocent, pitiful smile at Gu Yan outside the car window. "Mr. Gu, did you hear that? The police will be here soon. Tell me, do you think they'll believe a man with violent tendencies like you, or a weak woman like me who can't even hurt a fly? Gu Yan stared at me intently, his gaze as if he wanted to devour me whole. Host, you're playing with fire. No, I'm just spreading legal awareness, I said leisurely, teaching a self-absorbed, delusional tycoon a vivid lesson in legal education. Within 10 minutes, the sound of police sirens could be heard in the distance, growing louder and louder as they approached. Gu Yan's expression grew increasingly grim. He probably never imagined in his entire life that the police would come knocking on his door. 2 police officers got out of the patrol car and walked straight toward us. Who called the police? I immediately rolled down the car window and raised my hand. It's me, officer. I pointed at Gu Yan. It's him. He smashed my car and tried to drag me out. Look, you can still see his fist marks on my window. The officer turned to Gu Yan, his gaze becoming scrutinizing and stern. Sir, please show me your ID. Gu Yan's face was as dark as storm clouds. When had he, the esteemed president of the Gu Group, ever been subjected to such treatment? Yet he still took out his ID card from his wallet. The police officer glanced at it, then looked back at him and asked, "What is your relationship?" Before Gu Yan could speak, I took the lead. "Marital relationship," I sighed, my eyes instantly reddening. "Officer, we're having marital issues and are in the middle of a divorce. He won't agree to it and keeps harassing me. Today, he even came to my doorstep to confront me. I had no choice but to call the police." My words were spoken with genuine emotion, on the verge of tears. Ding, acting score. 9 points. Fits the vulnerable and helpless persona. Reward, 10 points. My heart was blooming with joy. So that's how it could be done. Gu Yan was probably stunned by my move, taking a moment to react. I didn't. Tang Sua, what nonsense are you talking about? Nonsense. My tears came on cue. Then why did you smash my car? Why won't you let me go home? Are you trying to drive me to my death? The police took one look at the situation. A classic domestic dispute. All right. Let's all calm down a bit, said one of the older officers, stepping in to mediate. Sir, if there are issues between husband and wife, you can sit down and talk it out properly. Resorting to violence is your mistake, damaging property. If the circumstances are serious, you could also face legal consequences. He then turned to me and said, "Ma'am, you shouldn't get too worked up either. Since you're husband and wife, you should at least give each other a chance to communicate." Officer, I don't want to communicate. I wiped away my tears. I just want some peace and quiet. I demand that he leave here immediately and stop harassing me. The police officer nodded and said to Gu Yan, "Sir, you should leave first. Give each other some time to cool down." Gu Yan's fists clenched and unclenched repeatedly. He stared at me fiercely, as if looking at a complete stranger. Finally, he gritted out a few words through his teeth. "Tang Sua, you're something else. Just you wait." With that, he turned around, got into his own car, stepped on the gas, and the Bentley let out a reluctant roar before disappearing at the end of the road. The police offered a few more words of reassurance, and after confirming I was safe, they also left. The world fell quiet once again. I glanced in the direction where the Bentley had vanished and snorted, "Wait, who's afraid of who?" I drove the car, leisurely entering the garage. Just as I got out of the car, I received a call from an unknown number. I hesitated for a moment, but I still answered. On the other end of the line was a woman's voice, fragile and choked with tears. Is this Sister Tang Sua?" Hearing that voice, I felt goosebumps rise all over my skin. Jiang Nian, she actually called me herself. It seems Gu Yan hit a wall over there, and now the white moonlight is taking matters into her own hands. "Tang Sua, it's me, Jiang Nian." The voice on the phone was like a kitten's paw scratching, light, soft, and tinged with a sickly panting. "I know, you need something from me." I tossed the car keys onto the cabinet in the entryway and slipped into a pair of comfortable slippers. "Sis, I heard from A Yen that you don't want to save me." As she spoke, her voice began to tremble with tears, sounding utterly pitiful. "Well, I don't want to," I answered bluntly. Jiang Nian seemed to choke on the other end, probably not expecting me to admit it so quickly. After a few seconds, she continued in that fragile, almost breaking voice, "Sis, I know this request is too much, but I really want to live. I don't want to die. I don't want to die either." I walked into the kitchen, took a bottle of ice water from the fridge, and gulped down more than half of it. "Satisfying. Sis, how can you say that?" Jiang Nian's voice was filled with disbelief. Yan said you were very kind. Kind doesn't mean foolish. I leaned against the refrigerator door. Jiang Nian. Let me ask you, if it were you, would you donate your kidney to a complete stranger? We're not strangers, you're Yan's wife. Oh, so what, just because I'm his wife, I have to give you my organs? What kind of logic is that? Is that written in the marriage certificate? Jiang Nian was left speechless by my question. Sister, I know you hate me for taking Yan away, but feelings are something you can't control. Yan and I truly love each other. Here it comes. The classic White Lotus lines. I nearly burst out laughing. First, I don't hate you. I don't care about the two of you at all. Second, whether you two truly love each other or not, what the hell does it have to do with me, even if you love each other to death? Love each other until the sky falls and the earth cracks. Don't drag me down with you. I'm not some NPC in your love story, sis. Jiang Nian's voice suddenly rose sharply, then quickly softened into sobs. I'm begging you, can't I just beg you? As long as you're willing to save me, I'll do anything you ask. I'll kneel for you. Don't. I cut her off immediately. You absolutely must not kneel for me. You're not in good health. If something happens to you, Gu Yan will just blame me for it. I paused, my tone turning serious. Jiang Nian, I'm giving you two choices. First, you and Gu Yan disappear from my world right now, immediately, and we never have anything to do with each other again. Second, if you call to harass me again, or send that legally ignorant Gu Yan to bother me, I'll come to the hospital to find you. What? What are you going to do? Her voice was filled with fear. Nothing much, I said casually. I just wanted to see you and chat a bit about the tort liability law and the criminal law amendment. I think, as someone who needs organ donations to survive, it wouldn't hurt to learn a bit more about the law. After saying that, I didn't give her a chance to respond and hung up the phone directly. Ding, host successfully made the white moonlight cry. Satisfaction points plus 20. System store has been unlocked. Oh, there's a store too. I focused my thoughts and clicked. And an interface resembling an online shopping platform appeared in my mind. Inside, there were all sorts of strange and unusual products. Super strength pill, after consumption, grants immense strength for 10 minutes. Price, 10 points. Truth spray, use on a target, and they will speak only the truth for 1 hour. Price, 50 points. Bad luck sticker, stick it on a target, and they'll have bad luck for 24 hours. Price, 100 points. Wow, these are all some shady stuff. I like it. I glanced at my pitiful 10 points and silently closed the store. Forget it, I'll rely on my own wisdom for now. I thought that after my little outburst, that despicable couple would lay low for a few days. Unexpectedly, the doorbell woke me up early the next morning, with my hair a complete mess and eyes still heavy with sleep. I opened the video doorbell. On the screen appeared a face, tear-streaked like rain-drenched pear blossoms. Jiang Nian, she was wearing a white dress. Its hem fluttering in the wind, making her look like a fairy ready to ascend to the heavens at any moment. She stood right there at my doorstep, eyes swollen and red, face pale, staring at me with an expression that seemed to say, if you don't open the door, I'll cry myself to death right here. I yawned and pressed the call button. Something wrong, sister. Jiang Nian's voice broke as soon as she spoke, tears streaming down her face like they cost nothing. I'm begging you, please let me in. Okay, let's talk face to face. There's nothing to talk about. Sister, I really know I was wrong. I shouldn't have fallen for Yan. I shouldn't have disrupted your lives, but I couldn't control myself. Just see me once, just once. She cried her heart out, utterly devastated. Anyone who didn't know better would think I had done something terrible to her. Watching her pitiful and helpless appearance on the surveillance footage, I suddenly found it somewhat amusing. Isn't this just a classic case of distribution by making a scene? The weak are always in the right, and tears always bring advantage. Fine, you want to compete in acting. Is that it? I ended the call, turned around, and ran back to the bedroom. I rummaged through a drawer, pulled out a bottle of eye drops, and squeezed several drops into my eyes. Then, I changed into a crumpled nightgown, deliberately tousled my hair even more, and dabbed some white foundation on my face to make myself look as though I hadn't slept for 3 days. With all the preparations done, I took a deep breath and flung the door open. Under Jiang Nian's stunned gaze, I thudded to the ground, kneeling even more decisively than she had. Sister, my dear sister, you've finally come. I threw my arms around her legs and burst into loud, dramatic sobs. My crying was far more professional than hers just now. Truly heartbreaking to hear and tear-inducing to listen to. Sister, I beg you, please let me go. Gu Yan and I really can't go on anymore. He never comes home, and when he does, he just gives me the cold shoulder. I can't take it anymore. I beg you to take him away. You two are truly meant for each other. Jiang Nian was completely dumbfounded by my sudden, outrageous move. She stood there, not daring to move a muscle. Her face a kaleidoscope of emotions. Sister, you get up first. I won't get up, I cried even louder. If you don't agree, I won't get up. I'm kowtowing to you. With that, I really did knock my head on the ground several times with a thump, thump, thump. Of course, it was just for show. Sister, I wish you a happy union for 100 years. May you have a precious child soon. I willingly leave with nothing. I want nothing. I only want a divorce. I just want to leave this place that has broken my heart, while crying. I used the corner of my eye to observe my surroundings. Perfect. A few early rising neighbors walking their dogs had already been drawn over and were pointing at us. Jiang Nian's face had already turned from white to green, and then from green to red. She probably has never been this humiliated in her entire life. Sister, don't be like this. She tried to pull me up, but I clung to her leg like an octopus, refusing to let go. No, unless you promise me right now to make Gu Yan divorce me. See, I knew you were all ganging up to bully me. You just want to drive me to my death. I can't go on living. I don't want to live anymore. I shouted while pretending to crash into the pillar beside me. Seeing that a life was at stake, the neighbors rushed over to pull me back. Hey, young lady, let's talk this out properly. Don't do anything rash. Yeah, it's really not that big of a deal. Jiang Nian was so frightened by this scene that her soul nearly flew out of her body. If she really let me die in front of her, she would go from being a pitiful, delicate white moonlight to a malicious mistress who drove the lawful wife to her death. I promise you, she screamed, I'll make him divorce you right now. I sniffled and stopped my movement toward the pillar. Really? Jiang Nian was on the verge of tears. Then call him right now. I got up from the floor, dusted off my knees, and handed her my phone. Jiang Nian took the phone with trembling hands and dialed Gu Yan's number. The phone was answered almost immediately. Nian, what's wrong? Where are you? Gu Yan's voice was filled with anxiety. Jiang Nian glanced at the curious onlookers around her, gritted her teeth, and said into the phone, Ian, please divorce Sister Tang Sua. We aren't right for each other. After saying this, her tears truly began to pour uncontrollably. Gu Yan fell silent on the other end of the phone for a full half-minute. I could even picture the look on his face at that moment. Probably got cheated on. Nian, stop messing around. He finally spoke, his voice suppressing anger. Did Tang Sua force you again? Wait for me, I'm coming right over. Upon hearing he was coming, Jiang Nian's face turned pale with fright. She definitely didn't want to experience that kind of mortifying scene again. No, don't come any closer. She hurriedly cried out, Yan, this is my own decision. I think my sister is right. What we're doing, it's unfair to her. As she spoke, she looked at me with pleading eyes. I received her signal and nodded with satisfaction. She knows what's good for her. Yan, let's just leave it at that. After Jiang Nian finished speaking, she wanted to hang up the phone. I immediately pressed my hand over hers. Wait, I took the phone and said to the other end, Mr. Gu, did you hear that? Your sweetheart said it herself. She wants you to divorce me, so, when are we going to handle the formalities? Tang Sua, Gu Yan's voice sounded as if it were about to burst through the phone and strangle me. What have you done to Nian? I didn't do anything, I said with an innocent expression. I just reasoned with her. Appealing to her emotions and explaining the logic, I never expected Miss Jiang Nian to be so reasonable. She understood right away, unlike some people who are completely stubborn. Enough with the you and me talk, I said impatiently, cutting off his nonsense. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, bring your household register, ID card, and marriage certificate. Whoever doesn't show up is a dog. With that, I slammed the phone down with a sharp click. The world was peaceful again. I handed the phone back to Jiang Nian and smiled at her. Miss Jiang, thank you for your cooperation. Take care. I won't see you out. Jiang Nian glanced at me, looking utterly devastated, and without saying a word, she turned and ran away, covering her face. The neighbors who had gathered to watch, seeing that the show was over, gradually dispersed in small groups. I stretched and went home to catch up on sleep. That nap left me feeling refreshed and clear-headed. However, I still underestimated just how shameless Gu Yan could be. The next day, I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau at the agreed time, waiting and waiting until the bureau was almost closing, but there was still no sign of Gu Yan. He not only didn't show up, but his phone is also unreachable. Ding, plot node, the humiliation at the charity gala. Task prompt. Tonight, Gu Yan will attend a grand charity gala with Jiang Nian. In front of all the guests, he will force the host to apologize to Jiang Nian and announce a donation of 10 million in the host's name to Jiang Nian's medical foundation, using this to humiliate the host. Please prepare yourself, host, to experience the miserable moment of being pointed at by everyone and left isolated and helpless. I looked at the prompt in my mind and sneered coldly. Humiliate me. And still want to use my money to please his white moonlight. Dream on. I took out my phone and made a call. Hello, is this the Wind Studio? I have a big scoop to give you. 7 o'clock in the evening, the banquet hall of the Haiyue Hotel. When I arrived, the place was already filled with elegantly dressed guests and buzzing with conversation. I was wearing a simple, understated black dress I had dug out from the wardrobe, blending into the crowd without drawing any attention. Soon, I saw the main characters of the evening. Gu Yan was dressed in a well-tailored white suit, which made him look even more handsome and dashing. By his side, Jiang Nian wore a white chiffon dress in the same color scheme, her long hair cascading over her shoulders, with delicate, light makeup, clinging to his arm like a delicate bird. Standing together, they truly looked like a perfect couple. It's just a pity that one is legally ignorant, and the other is a white lotus. As soon as they appeared, they immediately became the center of attention. Gu Yan held a wine glass, chatting and laughing with his business partners, while Jiang Nian followed beside him with a smile, occasionally casting affectionate glances at him. What a touching and heartfelt scene. I found a corner, nibbling on snacks while waiting for the show to begin. Sure enough, before long, Gu Yan took the microphone and stepped onto the stage. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming to tonight's charity gala. He said a few polite words, then abruptly shifted the topic. Today, aside from the charity event, I also have a personal matter. I would like to take this opportunity to make a clarification and explanation here. His gaze precisely locked onto my location. Everyone's eyes followed him, turning in unison to look at me. I set down the cake in my hand, wiped my mouth, and prepared to face the battle. You probably all know that the lady beside me is Miss Jiang Nian. Gu Yan's tone was filled with tenderness. Nian Nian has been in poor health, and her condition worsened again recently. As for my wife, Tang Sua, he deliberately paused, his gaze turning icy. Due to some misunderstandings, she has developed some negative views toward me and Nian Nian, and has even done things that hurt Nian Nian. As soon as he said this, the crowd below immediately began to murmur. Oh my, is that Mr. Gu's wife? She looks rather ordinary. I've heard about it for a long time. Mr. Gu doesn't love her at all. Marrying her was just an accident. She even dared to harm Miss Jiang. How vicious. I listened to these comments, my face expressionless. Gu Yan was quite pleased with this outcome. He continued, today, I asked Tang Sua to come here because I hope she can apologize to Nian Nian in front of everyone, and to express my own apology. I have decided to donate 10 million, in my wife Tang Sua's name, to Miss Jiang Nian's private medical foundation. Whoosh, the whole room erupted in an uproar. 10 million, just to buy an apology, such a grand gesture. Truly befitting a domineering CEO. Everyone was looking at me with the kind of gaze reserved for a spectacle, some with pity, some with disdain, but most with sheer schadenfreude. Jiang Nian stood on the stage, putting on a perfectly timed expression of fragility and kindness. Yan, don't be like this, sister didn't mean to. Nian Nian, you're just too kind-hearted, Gu Yan said, gazing at her with deep affection. Some people need to be taught a lesson before they understand what's right and what's wrong. He turned to me, adopting a condescending posture, and commanded, Tang Sua, come up here, apologize to Nian Nian. I looked at him and smiled. I didn't step onto the stage. Instead, I took something out of my bag, a selfie stick, with my phone mounted on it. I pressed the power button. The phone screen lit up, displaying the interface of a live streaming platform, with the number of online viewers skyrocketing. Good evening, everyone, welcome to my live stream, I said to the camera, flashing a sweet smile. I'm your new streamer, Tang Tang. Today, we're going to broadcast a high society drama, and the theme is how the domineering CEO and his White Lotus join forces to drive the original wife insane. My voice wasn't loud, but in the quiet banquet hall, it clearly reached everyone's ears. Everyone was stunned, including Gu Yan and Jiang Nian on the stage. Tang Sua, are you insane? Gu Yan was the first to react, roaring at me in fury. I'm not insane at all. I aimed the camera at him and Jiang Nian beside him. Come on, everyone, let me introduce you. This is our male lead for today, Mr. Gu Yan, the CEO. A legal illiterate who treats the law as nothing and casually decides to harvest his wife's kidney. And the one next to him is our female lead, Miss Jiang Nian, a peerless white lotus who appears fragile and helpless on the surface, but behind the scenes, she harasses the original wife with phone calls and kneels at her doorstep, selling her pitiful story. The live stream chat exploded instantly. Holy shit, what's going on? Starting off this intense right from the beginning, harvesting kidneys, for real, streamer, give us the details. This sister is so brave, I'm a fan now. Gu Yan's face had turned the color of liver with rage as he shouted at the security guards below the stage. What are you all standing around for? Grab her phone. Several security guards immediately rushed toward me. While backing away, I yelled into the camera, everyone, did you see that? They're trying to silence me. Is this the power of capital? It's terrifying. If I die here today, make sure you remember their faces. The security guards hesitated at my shouts, not daring to move forward. I seized the opportunity to continue my performance. Gu Yan, didn't you want me to apologize? Fine, I apologize. I cleared my throat, faced the camera, and spoke with heartfelt emotion. I, Tang Sua, hereby apologize to Miss Jiang Nian. My mistake was that when you called to harass me in the dead of night, I only hung up on you instead of calling the police. I was wrong for only using magic to defeat magic when you knelt at my doorstep, selling your sob story. Instead of sending you to a psychiatric hospital, my greater mistake was that when your man, who is also my legal husband, forced me to donate a kidney, smashed my car, and illegally detained me, I only called the police instead of directly hiring a lawyer to sue him until he was left penniless. I was wrong, I truly was wrong. My kindness and resilience were still not thorough enough. My apology was delivered with such passion and conviction that it resonated deeply. The barrage in the live stream has gone completely wild. Ha 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 ha, sorry, I laughed like a pig. Is this an apology? This is dancing on the other person's grave. Sis, you're awesome. I'm a fan now. Let's get those gifts rolling. In the banquet hall, all the guests were stunned. They look at me as if I were a monster. On the stage, the expressions on Gu Yan and Jiang Nian's faces could no longer be described as merely unpleasant. That was the expression of the world coming to an end. Turn it off right now, Gu Yan roared on the stage, his voice cracking with strain. The security guards finally snapped out of it, maneuvering around the crowd and closing in on me in a pincer movement. I wasn't the least bit flustered, even feeling calm enough to provide live commentary for my family in the live stream. Look, everyone, the classic scene is here. They're embarrassed and angry, ready to resort to force. Remember, in situations like this, never confront them head-on. Learn to use the terrain to your advantage and protect your personal safety and property. As I spoke, I nimbly skirted around a table laden with champagne towers. A security guard charged too fiercely, couldn't brake in time, and crashed headfirst into a table. With a loud crash, dozens of champagne glasses shattered all over the floor, golden wine flowing everywhere. The scene was chaotic for a moment. I took advantage of the confusion to slip into the crowd, continuing to live stream as I ran. Mr. Gu, I advise you to calm down. This is a live broadcast across the entire internet, with the number of online viewers already surpassing 1 million. If you lay a single finger on me today, I'm afraid Gu Corporation's stock will hit the lower limit tomorrow. These words struck Gu Yan right where it hurt the most. No matter how furious he was, he couldn't possibly risk his company for a moment of anger. He indeed halted his steps, glaring at me with eyes that seemed to wish they could tear me to shreds. Tang Sua, what exactly do you want? He forced the words out through gritted teeth. I don't want anything. I stopped walking and pointed the camera at my own face. I already said, I just want a divorce. If you don't agree, then we'll have to do it this way. Let the whole nation judge who's right. I'll ask you one more time. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, at the Civil Affairs Bureau, are we getting divorced or not? Gu Yan's fists were clenched so tightly that the veins on the back of his hands bulged. He glanced at Jiang Nian beside him, who was already trembling with fear, then looked around at the curious and disdainful gazes. He knew that today, he had completely lost face. If he didn't wrap this up soon, the entire business world would make a laughingstock of him tomorrow. Fine. He practically ground his teeth to dust before spitting out the word, divorce. I smiled. Wouldn't it have been better to just do this earlier? Why make it so ugly? I made a V sign towards the camera. Alright, babies, that's all for today's live stream. If you want to see what happens next, follow the host at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll see you then. With that, I decisively ended the live stream before the security guards could rush over. Then, in the dead silence, I strode out of the banquet hall with my head held high, stepping over the shattered glass scattered across the floor. Behind me, the venomous gazes of Gu Yan and Jiang Nian followed me out. Ding, host has completed the reverse humiliation iconic scene, gaining 100 satisfaction points and 100 system points. System store new item, chameleon mask, can transform into any face you've seen, lasting 1 hour. Price, 80 points. I was in high spirits, humming a little tune as I returned home. However, the next day, Gu Yan stood me up once again. Not only did he not show up at the Civil Affairs Bureau, but he also froze all my bank cards and credit cards. I stared at the insufficient balance notification on my phone, so furious I nearly threw it against the wall. Well played, Gu Yan, so you're hitting me with economic sanctions, huh? You think that's enough to trap me? I glanced around this unbelievably luxurious villa. In the living room stood a blue and white porcelain vase, said to be an antique from a previous dynasty, which Gu Yan had bought at auction for an 8-figure sum. On the wall hung a painting, reportedly an authentic work by a modern master, worth a fortune, and then there were those limited edition fountain pens, luxury watches in his study. I sneered coldly, took out my phone, and dialed a number. Hello, is this Brother Zhang from the second-hand luxury goods appraisal center? Yes, it's me. I have a batch of good stuff here and would like to invite you over for an appraisal. Half an hour later, a middle-aged man wearing gold-rimmed glasses, looking refined and scholarly, appeared at my doorstep with 2 assistants. Miss Tang, long time no see. Brother Zhang greeted me with a smile. He is a renowned luxury goods appraiser in the industry, with a sharp eye and extensive connections. Brother Zhang, no need for formalities. Let's take a look at the goods. I led them as we thoroughly combed through the villa, inside and out. This vase is from the Qing dynasty, with a market value of around 12 million. This painting, Qi Baishi's Shrimp, an authentic piece, conservatively estimated at 8 million. This watch, a limited edition Patek Philippe, only 3 in the world, priceless on the market, definitely worth at least 5 million. With each item Brother Zhang appraised, my eyes lit up a little more. Finally, he tallied up the total value and gave me a number. Miss Tang, if you were to sell all these items, raising 50 million shouldn't be a problem. Alright, I decided without hesitation. Brother Zhang, please handle this for me. The price can be a bit lower. My only requirement is to liquidate them as quickly as possible. No problem, Brother Zhang replied straightforwardly. The money will definitely be in your account within 3 days. After seeing Brother Zhang off, the frustration I felt over my frozen account vanished completely. I sat on Gu Yan's $1 million leather sofa, crossing my legs with immense satisfaction. Gu Yan, oh Gu Yan, did you think freezing my cards would leave me penniless? How naive. Your wife is about to empty your entire house. The next 2 days were incredibly fulfilling for me. Every day, I directed the moving company staff, moving the valuable items from the villa out one by one. The housekeeper, Auntie Wang, watched in fear and anxiety, calling me several times, but I hung up on each one, with no other choice. She had no option but to inform Gu Yan. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, Brother Zhang transferred 48 million into a newly opened bank card of mine. Looking at the long string of zeros in the text message, I couldn't stop grinning. Just then, the villa's front door was kicked open. Gu Yan stormed in, radiating a murderous aura. When he saw the empty living room, he was completely stunned. His blue and white porcelain vase, worth tens of millions, was gone. The painting on the wall, worth 8 million, was also gone. He rushed into the study. All his precious watches and fountain pens had vanished without a trace. The entire villa looked as if it had been ransacked by bandits. Tang Sua, he roared as he charged downstairs, his eyes bloodshot and glaring at me as if they were about to spit fire. Where are my things? I sat on the only surviving sofa, leisurely sipping my tea, and lifted my eyelids. Sold, what? I said. I sold all that junk of yours. I set down my teacup, took a stack of receipts from my wallet, and tossed them in front of him. Here's the list. It's sold for a total of 48 million, after deducting my compensation for the lost years of my youth, emotional distress, and all the harm you've caused me. I've already had the lawyer transfer the remaining amount to your company account. By the way, I stood up, straightening my clothes. I've also had the lawyer draft a new divorce agreement. It will be delivered to your office tomorrow. This time, whether you sign it or not, you will sign it. Gu Yan looked at the receipt on the floor, then at me, trembling with rage. You, how dare you? Why wouldn't I dare? I walked up to him, looked straight into his eyes, and said word by word, Gu Yan, I'm not the Tang Sua you could push around anymore. If you dare provoke me again, next time, it'll be your company I sell. Gu Yan was so furious he couldn't utter a word, his hand trembling as he pointed at me. Finally, he gave the nearby coffee table a vicious kick, turned around, and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. That retreating figure was both wretched and enraged. I looked at the coffee table he had kicked over and curled my lip. This coffee table was also handmade in Italy, worth several $100,000. What a pity, ding. Host successfully countered the economic blockade. Satisfaction points plus 150, points plus 150, system notification, detected male leads darkening value plus 50%, subsequent plot may develop uncontrollable extreme directions, extreme turn. I raised an eyebrow. How much more extreme can it get? According to the original plot, the most cliched scene is about to unfold. Gu Yan, having repeatedly been thwarted by me and feeling humiliated and enraged, will hire someone to kidnap me and lock me up together with Jiang Yan in an abandoned warehouse. Then, he would have the kidnappers set a fire in the warehouse, creating a desperate situation with only two choices. He would rush into the flames, pick up Jiang Yan without hesitation, and leave without looking back, leaving the original protagonist behind, to be burned to a charred corpse in despair and flames. Just thinking about this plot makes one's fists clench, however. The current me is not the original owner who would just sit and wait for death. I contacted someone to sell the remaining pieces of furniture in the villa, then pocketed my bank card and moved into the most luxurious 5-star hotel in the city center. I booked a presidential suite, spending my days eating, sleeping, getting spa treatments, and shopping. Life couldn't be more comfortable. I waited for 3 days, but there was no movement from Gu Yan's side. The divorce agreement was sent over, but it sank like a stone into the sea. I wasn't in a hurry, though. I knew that the calm before the storm was always the most agonizing. On the 4th day, as I was leisurely enjoying afternoon tea in the hotel restaurant, 2 men in black suits and sunglasses sat down across from me, one on each side. Miss Tang, our boss would like to invite you over. One of the men spoke, his voice devoid of emotion. I set down my fork and looked at them, the attire, the lines, it was all too professional. Who's your boss? Gu Yan. The man didn't speak, which was as good as an admission. All right then, I wiped my mouth and stood up. Lead the way. The 2 men seemed taken aback by how cooperative I was, pausing for a moment. Miss Tang, please. I followed them into a black business car. The windows were completely blacked out, so I couldn't see outside. The car drove for about an hour before stopping in a very remote location. I was taken out of the car by them and led into an abandoned warehouse. The warehouse was dimly lit, filled with dust and the smell of mildew. At a glance, I spotted Jiang Yan tied to a pillar. Her face was deathly pale, and when she saw me, her eyes filled with terror. Tang Sua, you. I ignored her, walking straight to the pillar opposite her, finding a comfortable position to lean against. The 2 kidnappers brought me to the spot and then stood silently at the entrance, like 2 door gods. The entire warehouse was so quiet that only Jiang Yan's suppressed breathing could be heard. After about 10 minutes, I was getting a bit impatient. I shouted toward the 2 guys at the door, Hey, bro, can I ask something? The man on the left glanced back at me. What is it? When is your boss coming? This place is dirty and run down, and it's pretty boring. The man ignored me. I spoke again. Hey, big guy, want a smoke? I fished a pack of women's cigarettes from my bag and shook one out. The man still ignored me. Hey, don't be so cold, I said, lighting a cigarette on my own and taking a drag. Let's chat. How much do you guys make a month in this line of work? The man on the right seemed a bit annoyed by my question. Why are you asking? Nothing, just curious, I replied, blowing a smoke ring. Your job looks pretty tough. Out in all kinds of weather. Doing dirty work like kidnapping. Does your boss pay for your social security and housing fund? Do you get overtime pay, triple wages on statutory holidays? The two kidnappers were speechless. They were probably encountering a hostage as carefree as me for the first time. Jiang Nian, who was tied up across from me, also looked at me as if I were a lunatic. Brothers, not to criticize you. I continued my lengthy speech since they weren't responding, but these days, everything has to be about cost effectiveness. Your line of work is high risk, low reward, terrible value for the effort. If you get caught, you'll be charged with intentional injury, unlawful detention, kidnapping, and more. With multiple offenses combined, you'll spend the rest of your life behind bars, sewing clothes on a machine. What's the point? Look at me. I'm just a weak woman, unarmed. The two of you are tall, strong, and robust. Is it really worth throwing away your bright futures just for a bit of Gu Yan's money? The man on the left finally couldn't hold back. What exactly are you trying to say? I'm saying, you could switch sides. I winked at him. How much is Gu Yan paying you? I'll double it. Let me go right now. And help me record a statement while you're at it, testifying that Gu Yan masterminded your kidnapping of me. Once this is all over, I promise you'll not only be fine, but you'll also get a huge sum of money. Where couldn't you go to live it up? The two kidnappers exchanged a glance, their eyes clearly wavering. Jiang Nian, who was tied up, grew anxious. Don't listen to her nonsense. Yan won't let you off, I sneered, looking at her. Jiang Nian, haven't you figured it out yet? In Gu Yan's eyes, both you and I are just his possessions. Today he can kidnap me for you, and tomorrow he can throw you into the fire for another woman. Do you think you're some irreplaceable true love? Don't be naive. Jiang Nian's face paled, her lips trembling, unable to speak. Just then, the warehouse door creaked open. Gu Yan walked in. Behind him, several people followed, carrying gasoline cans. He took in the scene inside the warehouse, and especially when he saw me leaning leisurely against a pillar smoking, his eyes instantly turned sinister. Tang Sua, you really surprise me. Likewise. I tossed the cigarette butt onto the ground and crushed it under my foot. Director Gu, this little act of yours is quite the production. What? Planning to set a fire? Gu Yan ignored me. His men had already begun splashing gasoline all around the warehouse. The pungent smell instantly filled the air. Jiang Yan screamed in terror. Yan, what are you doing? Stop. Gu Yan walked up to Jiang Yan and gently wiped away her tears. Nian, don't be afraid. I won't let anything happen to you. Then, he turned his head and looked at me with a gaze as cold as ice. Tang Sua, you forced me into this. Today, right here, let's settle this once and for all. He pulled out a lighter, and with a click, a flame sprang to life. The two kidnappers panicked at the sight of this. Boss, we agreed to just scare her. Why are you really setting a fire? Yeah, boss, this could kill someone. Shut up, Gu Yan roared. You'll get every penny of your money. Now, get out of here. The two kidnappers hesitated for a moment, but in the end, they chose to take the money and leave. The warehouse door slammed shut behind them. Now, only the three of us remained, surrounded by gasoline spilled all over the floor. Gu Yan looked at me, a cruel smile spreading across his face. Tang Sua, I'm giving you one last chance. Get on your knees and beg me to save you. I looked at his contorted face and suddenly found it quite amusing. I actually laughed out loud. Gu Yan, are you out of your mind? I straightened up and brushed the dust off my clothes. Did you really think I'd just sit here and wait for death? From my bag, I pulled out a small spray bottle. I bought this from the system store for 50 points. Truth serum spray. Gu Yan saw me take out a small spray bottle, his eyes filled with disdain. What? At this point, you still want to use your perfume to bewitch me? This isn't perfume. I shook the bottle, smiling as I looked at him. This is something good, I spoke while subtly moving 2 steps closer to him. Jiang Nian was still sobbing against the pillar. Ian, hurry and go. The fire is about to reach us. I'm so scared. Gu Yan's attention was drawn to her. He turned back and comforted her gently. Nian, don't be afraid. I'll take you away right away. Now is the time. Seizing the opportunity, I rushed over and pressed the spray firmly against Gu Yan's face. PSSST, a colorless, odorless gas sprayed precisely onto his face. Gu Yan was hit squarely, instinctively stepping back as he angrily demanded, Tang Sua, what the hell did you just spray at me? Something good. I tucked the spray bottle away and retreated to a safe distance. Drip, truth serum has taken effect on target, Gu Yan, duration 1 hour. Done. Gu Yan wiped his face, seemingly unaffected. He turned his gaze back to me, the cruelty in his eyes intensifying. It seems you won't give up until you see the coffin. Fine, then you and this warehouse can turn to ashes together. With that, he raised his hand, ready to throw the lighter in his grasp. I crossed my arms, watching him with calm composure. Gu Yan, let me ask you, do you truly love Jiang Yan? His hand froze mid-motion, as if someone had hit the pause button. He looked at me, his eyes somewhat vacant. But his mouth opened uncontrollably. I don't. As soon as those 2 words were spoken, not only I, but even Gu Yan himself and Jiang Yan were stunned. Jiang Yan's sobbing abruptly ceased. She stared at Gu Yan in disbelief. Yan, what did you say? Gu Yan's face also showed a panicked expression. He wanted to shut his mouth, but it seemed to have a mind of its own. I don't love her. I just think she resembles her. The girl who saved my life. What I feel for Jiang Yan is more guilt and responsibility, because I mistook her for someone else back then, and she took a knife for me. I have to take responsibility for her. That was a lot to take in. I raised an eyebrow and continued asking, then who was the one who saved you back then? It was you. Gu Yan's eyes were fixed on me, his face etched with struggle and pain, yet his mouth continued to spill the truth. It was you, Tang Sua, back then, in that alley. The one who saved me was you. The scar on your chest, that's from that time. The scar on Jiang Yan's body, she cut it herself later, to imitate you. I've always known, but I didn't dare admit it, because I've already given all my affection to Jiang Yan. If I admitted it, then these past few years, I'd have been nothing but a complete fool. Wow, I couldn't help but clap my hands. What a spectacular annual melodrama this is. Jiang Yan was completely stunned, her face ashen. She stared at Gu Yan, her lips trembling. No, it's not. Yan, you're lying to me. You're lying, aren't you? Gu Yan closed his eyes in agony. He wanted to shake his head, but his body honestly nodded. I'm sorry, Tang Sua. His voice was filled with remorse. I used you, hurt you. It's all my fault. I thought if I pushed you to the brink, you'd beg for mercy like you used to. I just wanted to prove that I could still control you. Control me, I laughed. Gu Yan. You don't want to control me. You're sick. Paranoid personality disorder. I suggest you see a psychiatrist. I walked up to him and took the still burning lighter from his dazed hand. With a click, I closed the lid. The flame went out. The entire warehouse fell into a deathly silence. Only the sound of Jiang Yan's desperate sobs remained. I walked up to her, crouched down, and helped untie the ropes. Miss Jiang, the truth is now clear. Do you have anything else to say? Jiang Yan looked up at me with hollow eyes, murmuring, impossible, this can't be. I ignored her, stood up, and walked over to Gu Yan, who was still in shock. Mr. Gu, now the fire can't be set, and the truth is clear. What do you plan to do next? Gu Yan seemed to have aged 10 years in an instant. He looked at me dejectedly, his gaze complex. Tang Sua. Stop. I raised my hand to cut him off. Don't tell me you're sorry. I don't need it, right now. I just want to talk to you about compensation. I took a piece of paper and a pen out of my bag. Kidnapping me, emotional distress compensation, 1 million, deliberate arson, attempted murder. That one will have to be decided by a judge in court, but we can settle privately. 5 million, not too much, right? Also, you smashed my car before. The window repair cost is 200,000. And that coffee table you kicked and broke is 800,000, in total. 6,200,000. I handed him the paper and pen. Write an IOU. You can pay in installments too. I won't charge you interest. Gu Yan was speechless. He looked at me as if I were an alien from outer space. Perhaps in his entire life, he had never seen a hostage negotiating compensation with the kidnappers at the scene of a kidnapping. Drip. The effect of the truth spray is about to end. Remaining time, 10 seconds. Seeing that time was running out, I quickly urged him. Hurry up and write, otherwise, if you change your mind later, I'll just call the police. Gu Yan, dazed and confused, took the paper and pen and actually wrote out an IOU for over 6 million, even signing his own name and pressing his fingerprint on it. I put away the IOU with satisfaction, blowing on the ink to dry it. All right, payment and goods are settled. Now, you can take your fake moonlight and get lost. I turned around and walked briskly toward the warehouse door. After just 2 steps, Gu Yan's voice came from behind me. Tang Sua, wait. I turned back. The effects of the truth spray should have worn off by now. His gaze had regained clarity, but the previous ferocity was gone, replaced by an indescribable, complex emotion. Outside, the people I arranged might still be there. It's not safe for you to go out alone. He paused. I'll see you off. I looked him up and down, playing the hero to save the damsel. Sorry, I don't need that. I waved the IOU in my hand. But since you're being so sincere, I can give you a chance. What? Paid escort service. I held up 5 fingers to him. 50,000. Call in those 2 door gods of yours and have them escort me safely to the hotel. Deal. Gu Yan's mouth twitched uncontrollably. In the end, Gu Yan still paid the 50,000 yuan escort fee. With a dark expression, I sat in the same business car I came in, escorted back to the hotel respectfully by the 2 bewildered kidnapper brothers. Before getting out of the car, I even waved at them. Big brother, remember my words. There's no future in this line of work. Switching careers early is the right path. The 2 big brothers looked at me, their expressions indescribable. Back in the presidential suite, I took a hot shower and lay down on the soft bed, feeling like I had come back to life. Although the big scene in the warehouse was thrilling but ultimately safe, it still took quite a bit of energy. Especially when dealing with someone like Gu Yan, whose thought process is anything but normal. It's mentally exhausting. I had thought that after the attempted arson and the truth coming to light, Gu Yan and Jiang Nian would finally settle down and divorce me without any more fuss. But once again, I underestimated their ability to push the boundaries of my worldview. The next morning, just as I was enjoying the luxurious breakfast delivered by the hotel, the doorbell rang. I thought it was room service, so I opened the door without checking who was outside. Standing at the door wasn't a hotel attendant, but a wealthy lady dressed in a Chanel suit, wearing a diamond ring the size of a pigeon egg, exuding an aura of, I'm loaded. Behind her, 2 bodyguards followed. This kind of scene, I was all too familiar with it. That's how they always do it in TV dramas. This visitor means trouble. Are you Tang Sua? The noblewoman sized me up from head to toe with a critical eye, her tone dripping with arrogance. I nodded. I am, and you are. I am Gu Yan's mother, she said, lifting her chin as she introduced herself. Oh, so the wicked mother-in-law has arrived. What do you want? I leaned against the doorframe, making no move to invite her in. Gu Yan's mother was clearly displeased with my attitude. She frowned and said, Is this how you speak to your elders? I only show respect to elders who are worthy of it. I smiled. As for you, having raised a son like Gu Yan, I find it rather difficult to muster any respect. You, Gu's mother's face flushed instantly. How dare you? Ding, detected plot character, the wealthy, vicious mother-in-law. Classic plot point. Throwing a check. Task prompt. Please, host. Display a conflicted state of mind. Humiliated and unwilling. Yet tempted by the money, I looked at the prompt in my mind and felt a surge of interest. Throwing checks around. I like that, Mrs. Gu. If you have something to say, just say it. My time is precious, and I don't have the patience to waste it here with you. Mrs. Gu took a deep breath, as if suddenly remembering the purpose of her visit today, and forcefully suppressed her anger. She took a checkbook and a pen from her Hermes bag. Here it comes. The iconic scene is about to unfold. Tang Sua. I know you married Ian for our Gu family's money, she said while writing something on the check. I've seen plenty of women like you, insatiably greedy, shameless. I nodded in agreement. You're absolutely right. When it comes to shamelessness, I truly can't compare to your son. Not only did he want to freeload my kidney, but he also wanted to freeload my life. Mother Gu's hand paused mid-action. Clearly having learned about the warehouse incident, her expression turned somewhat unnatural. But she quickly regained her haughty demeanor. What Yen did was a bit excessive, but as a wife, if you're unwilling to make even this small sacrifice for your husband, that's also your fault. I couldn't help but laugh. What kind of bandit logic is this, Mrs. Gu? When you married Mr. Gu back then, did he also ask you to donate a kidney to another woman? You're utterly unreasonable, Mrs. Gu was left speechless by my retort and simply threw the prepared check onto the floor in front of me with a sharp slap. Leave my son. Here's 1 million. Take the money and disappear from his sight forever. She looked at me with a condescending gaze, as if granting me an immense favor. I lowered my head and glanced at the check on the ground. The amount on it was clear and unmistakable. 1 million yuan, 1 million. I rubbed my ears, wondering if I had misread it. Mrs. Gu. Are you sure you didn't make a mistake? I picked up the check and waved it in front of her. Just this much. Gu's mother was stunned. You think it's too little. It's not about the amount, I said, tearing the check in half and throwing it back in her face. It's about the insult. When I divorced your son, the IOUs he wrote me alone amounted to over 6 million, and now you think you can buy me off with 1 million. Are you treating me like a beggar, or is it that, in your eyes, your son's life is only worth this much? Gu's mother's face turned pale, then flushed with anger. A truly spectacular sight. She had probably never in her life encountered someone who dared to tear up her check right in front of her and still complain that the amount was too small. You, don't push your luck, push my luck, I sneered. Madam Gu, I suggest you go back and ask your son what he's been up to. Kidnapping, arson, attempted murder, any one of those charges is enough to keep him behind bars for life. All I want now is money. The fact that I haven't sent him to prison yet is already out of respect for your Gu family ancestors. What more do you want? Simple. I held up 2 fingers. First, have your son go with me to the Civil Affairs Bureau right now, this instant, to get the divorce. Second, compensation, a flat price. 100 million, 1 cent less, and we'll see each other in court. 100 million. When I said that number, Gu's mother's eyes went wide. You're insane. You're robbing me blind. I'm not insane, I replied calmly. This is what I deserve, compensation for emotional distress, lost youth, damage to my reputation, and this life of mine that was almost lost. 100 million is already a friendship price, don't even think about it. Fine, I nodded, then we have nothing more to discuss. Please, take your measly 1 million and gracefully exit my sight. Take your time, no need to rush. With that, I slammed the door shut with a loud bang, leaving Gu's mother and her bodyguards locked outside. Outside, the sound of Gu's mother's furious cursing echoed, but I paid it no mind. I picked up the phone and dialed my newly hired lawyer. Hello, is this Attorney Lee? Yes, it's me. Please get things ready for me. I'm going to sue Gu Yan. The charges. Let's start with intentional injury and unlawful detention. Think you can brush me off with 1 million? Dream on. If I don't make the Gu family bleed a little, you'll never learn how to spell the word respect. I thought that by putting it so bluntly, the Gu family would finally face reality and obediently pay up for the divorce. Unexpectedly, while Gu Yan remained silent, Jiang Yan started stirring up trouble again. Ever since the warehouse incident, she had been staying in the hospital, claiming to have suffered severe psychological trauma and needing rest. Then, unfavorable rumors about me began circulating online. They said I was ruthless and cruel, not only driving Gu's beloved to a mental breakdown but also greedily extorting 100 million from the Gu family. Some marketing accounts have spun such vivid tales, painting me as a modern-day Pan Jinlian, greedy, malicious, and unscrupulous. The comments below, naturally, are a chorus of condemnation. This Tang Sua is utterly shameless, isn't she? He doesn't want her anymore. Yet she still clings on desperately. 100 million, why doesn't she just rob a bank? My heart aches for Sister Jiang Yan, to have such a rival in love. She must have had the worst luck in 8 lifetimes. Looking at these comments, I wasn't the least bit angry. In fact, I even felt a little like laughing. This level of public relations is just too amateurish. It's clearly Jiang Yan's doing at first glance. Trying to force my hand through public opinion pressure. Too naive. My skin is thicker than a city wall right now. This little bit of criticism isn't even enough to scratch an itch for me. However, she did remind me of something. I was so caught up in the battle of wits with Gu Yan that I almost forgot. Jiang Yan, that beautiful snake, hasn't been completely dealt with yet. Doesn't she love acting? Then I'll expose all her dirty secrets, leaving her with no stage to perform on. I spent 100,000 yuan to hire the best private detective in the entire city. Help me look up someone, Jiang Yan, all her information, from childhood to now, the more detailed the better, especially her relationship with a man named Chen Hao. Chen Hao is a cannon fodder male supporting character in the original work. He is Jiang Yan's first love, a poor boy. Jiang Yan abandoned him for money back then and went with Gu Yan. Later, Chen Hao got into a car accident, became a vegetable, and has been lying in the hospital ever since. Jiang Yan occasionally visits him, putting on a show of deep, unwavering affection, but in reality, she's just checking to see if he's dead yet. This woman is rotten to the core. the detective works with remarkable efficiency. 3 days later, a thick stack of documents was delivered to me. I spent an entire afternoon reading through the materials from start to finish. After finishing, I had only one thought: Jiang Nian is truly a born actor. She publicly claimed to be an orphan from a scholarly family, with no one to rely on. In reality, her parents were alive and well, running a small convenience store in their hometown. She also had a younger brother, who was idle and addicted to gambling. Most of the money she had taken from Gu Yan over the years had gone toward paying off her brother's gambling debts. The scar on her body was indeed fabricated. The documents included a photo from her high school graduation, where her skin was clean and unblemished, with no trace of any scar. The most thrilling part was her involvement with Chen Hao. The detective discovered that Chen Hao's car accident was no accident. The brakes had been tampered with, and the day before the incident, Jiang Nian had gone to see him. Although there is no direct evidence pointing to Jiang Nian, the underlying trickery is self-evident. This woman is even more vicious than I imagined. I took this information and went straight to the hospital where Chen Hao was staying, Rehabilitation Center, VIP ward. I pushed open the door and saw Jiang Nian sitting by the bedside, holding the hand of the man lying there, whispering something softly. She was wearing a plain white dress, without any makeup, her hair simply tied up, looking both weary and deeply affectionate. Ahau, don't worry, I will definitely find a way to cure you. Once you recover, we'll leave this place, go somewhere no one knows us, and start over. As she spoke, tears fell from her eyes. To anyone who didn't know better, she looked like the tragic heroine from some melodrama. I leaned against the doorframe, not disturbing her performance, and watched quietly. Only after she finished her lines and prepared to stand up and leave did I clap my hands. Clap, clap, clap. The applause sounded particularly jarring in the quiet hospital room. Jiang Nian turned around abruptly, her expression instantly changing when she saw me. Tang Sua, what are you doing here? Why can't I be here? I walked in and threw the documents in my hand at her feet. I came to see how my affectionate ex-girlfriend seamlessly switches roles between her fiancé and her comatose first love. Your acting is truly impressive. Oscar owes you a little golden statue. Jiang Nian saw the documents on the floor, her pupils contracting sharply. She frantically tried to pick them up, but I stepped on them with my foot. Don't be in such a hurry to destroy the evidence, I said, looking down at her. There's a lot of good stuff in here. For example, your orphan parents who run a small grocery store, and your precious brother who's addicted to gambling, and then there's your accidental car crash of a first love. With each word spoken, Jiang Nian's face grew a shade paler. By the end, she had lost all color and was trembling all over. You're talking nonsense. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't know. I crouched down, picked up the document, flipped to a certain page, and held it up before her eyes. This is your brother's bank statement, showing hundreds of thousands deposited every month, with you as the transferor, and here are your call records, where he explicitly admits that you instructed him to tamper with Chen Hao's brakes. Jiang Nian, do you still want to deny it? Jiang Nian stared at the black and white evidence and listened to the voice from the recorder, the last trace of color draining from her face. She collapsed to the floor, her eyes vacant. You don't need to say anything more. I stood up and gathered the documents. I didn't come here today to listen to your explanations. I came to inform you. I'm giving you 24 hours. Turn yourself into the police, otherwise. These documents will be on the police station's desk and Gu Yan's desk tomorrow. At that point, whether you end up in prison or get thrown into the river by an enraged Gu Yan, you decide. I looked at her desperate face, feeling not a single ripple in my heart. The pitiable are always deserving of hatred. Someone like Jiang Nian is not worthy of any sympathy. I turned around, ready to leave. The man on the hospital bed moved his finger slightly. I paused mid-step and turned back to look at the bed. Chen Hao's eyelids were trembling faintly. He was about to wake up. Jiang Nian, who was slumped on the floor, also saw it. She seemed to have grabbed onto her last lifeline, scrambling and crawling to the bedside. Ahau, you're awake. Thank goodness, you're finally awake. She cried with tears and snot streaming down her face, as if she were genuinely overjoyed for him. Chen Hao's eyes slowly cracked open a sliver. His gaze, unfocused, drifted aimlessly across the ceiling. The doctor was quickly called over and conducted a series of examinations on Chen Hao. The preliminary conclusion was that the patient showed signs of waking up, but his consciousness remained very hazy and required further observation. Jiang Nian seized this opportunity and immediately began her performance. She stayed by Chen Hao's bedside, never leaving his side, serving him tea and water, asking after his well-being, like the perfect 24-hour devoted girlfriend. She probably thought that as long as Chen Hao woke up and firmly insisted the car accident was an accident, she would still have a chance to turn things around. Unfortunately, she miscalculated. I didn't give her any more time to put on a show. I went directly to the GU Group with that information. Annual general meeting of shareholders. All the top executives and shareholders of the GU Group will be in attendance today. This is a perfect opportunity. I didn't have an invitation and was stopped by security at the door. No problem, I was prepared. I exchanged for that chameleon mask from the system shop. With a single thought, my face transformed into the appearance of Gu Yan's female secretary. I walked into the elevator with my head held high, making my way smoothly to the top floor conference room. The conference room was packed with people. Gu Yan sat at the head of the table, listening to the financial director's annual report. He looked somewhat weary, with faint dark circles under his eyes, but his suit remained impeccably pressed. I found a seat towards the back and waited patiently. Financial reports, operational reports, future plans. Over an hour later, all the procedures were completed. Gu Yan cleared his throat, ready to deliver his concluding remarks. Everyone, wait a moment. I stood up, my crisp voice cutting him off. All eyes turned to me. The female secretary. Gu Yan frowned, looking at me with displeasure. Ash said, Secretary Li, what is it, Mr. Gu? I am not Secretary Li. I raised my hand and, in front of everyone, removed the mask from my face, revealing my true appearance. It's me, Tang Sua. The whole room erupted in an uproar. All the shareholders began whispering and murmuring among themselves. Gu Yan's face instantly darkened. Tang Sua. What are you doing here? Get out, he roared at the security guard by the door. Don't be in such a hurry, President Gu. I smiled and walked onto the stage, taking a USB drive from my bag and plugging it into the conference room computer. I'm here today to show all the shareholders something good, an assessment report on the potential future risks of the GU Group. I skillfully operated the computer and turned on the projector. On the screen, the cover of a PowerPoint presentation appeared. The title read, On How My Legally Illiterate Husband and His Vicious White Moonlight Drove a Billion-Dollar Group into the Abyss. Beneath the title were my wedding photo with Gu Yan and Jiang Nian's artistic portrait, a stark contrast, dripping with irony. Gu Yan's face had already turned from black to the color of liver. Security, where the hell is security? Drag her out of here. Several security guards rushed in, intending to pull me away. I picked up the microphone on the table, and my voice echoed throughout the entire conference room. Shareholders, are you sure you want me to leave? This report of mine contains all the evidence of Mr. Gu's involvement in kidnapping, arson, and attempted murder. There's also the recording and bank statements of his beloved, Miss Jiang Nian, hiring someone to orchestrate a car accident. If this information were handed over to the police and the media, how many points do you think GU Corporation's stock price would drop? I believe those of you present here understand that better than I do. My words exploded like a heavy bomb in the conference room. All the shareholders gasped in unison. Their gazes toward Gu Yan shifted from confusion to shock and disbelief. The security guards who had been about to rush forward also halted, exchanging bewildered looks. A white-haired elderly shareholder stood up. He was a founding member of the Gu family business and Gu Yan's great-uncle. Gu Yan, is what she said true? Gu Yan's lips moved, but not a single word came out. His silence was the best answer. The old shareholder trembled with rage, slamming the table. Foolish, you are truly foolish. I ignored their internal power struggles within the wealthy family and proceeded with my PowerPoint presentation on my own. Everyone, please take a look. This is the recording of Mr. Gu forcing me to donate a kidney for his so-called white moonlight. Here is the evidence of him smashing my car and freezing my accounts, and this is the surveillance footage of him hiring someone to kidnap me and set fire to the warehouse. Although it's a bit blurry, you can still make out his face. I presented each piece of evidence clearly before all the shareholders. With every piece revealed, Gu Yan's face grew paler. The atmosphere in the meeting room grew increasingly tense. Next, let's take a look at this Miss Jiang Nian. I switched to the next slide in the presentation. This is the evidence of her fabricating her background and deceiving Mr. Gu. This is the recording of her instructing her brother to stage a car accident. And this is the bank statement showing her transferring the money she swindled from Mr. Gu to her brother to pay off his gambling debts, amounting to as much as 30 million, a fraud, a murderer. This is the woman our Mr. Gu has cherished and held dear to his heart, esteemed shareholders. Do you truly feel at ease and trusting the Gu Group to a CEO who, for the sake of such a woman, would dare to trample on the law and disregard human lives? My words left all the shareholders present speechless. They looked at Gu Yan on the stage, his face deathly pale, their eyes filled with disappointment and anger. Gu Yan was finished. I knew that from this day on, he would never have any credibility left within the Gu Group. I finished my speech, pulled out the USB drive, and put it back in my bag. All right, my report is done. I walked up to Gu Yan and slapped a document on his desk. Divorce agreement. I've already signed it. I don't want that 100 million in compensation either. Gu Yan looked up at me abruptly, his eyes filled with disbelief. I smiled, leaned down, and whispered softly in his ear. Because I think making you lose everything and ruining your reputation makes me happier than getting that 100 million, Gu Yan. This is the last bit of dignity I, Tang Sua, can give you. The outcome of the shareholders' meeting was exactly as I had expected. Gu Yan was immediately dismissed from his position as CEO, with his great-uncle, the elderly shareholder, temporarily taking over the company. A portion of his shares was also forcibly diluted as compensation to the company. Overnight, he went from being the high and mighty golden boy to a despised and beaten-down underdog. As for Jiang Nian, shortly after I left the conference room, the police came knocking at his door. She fabricated her background, swindled money, and hired thugs to harm others. With multiple crimes combined, she will likely spend the rest of her life behind bars. I heard that Chen Hao had completely sobered up by the time the police arrived to take his statement. He personally testified that the car accident back then was orchestrated by Jiang Nian. Thus, this despicable pair has received the retribution they deserved. I finally got the divorce certificate stamped with the official seal. The moment I walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I felt the sky had turned a shade bluer. I am free. Although I didn't get 1 billion in compensation, the money Gu Yan had made from selling the house and car, along with that IOU for over 6 million, were more than enough to keep me comfortable for the rest of my life. I bought a large luxury apartment in the city center, hired the best designer to decorate it, and spent my days traveling, enjoying good food, and shopping to my heart's content. No more annoying people, no more melodramatic plots. This kind of life is simply too good to be true. I thought that the story between me and Gu Yan should come to an end here. Unexpectedly, a month later, he appeared before me once again. That day, I had just returned from a vacation abroad when I saw a familiar yet unfamiliar figure downstairs at my apartment. Gu Yan. He was no longer the domineering CEO in a sharp suit, radiating confidence and ambition. He was wearing ordinary casual clothes. His hair was a bit messy, and there was a stubble of dark beard on his chin. He looked utterly dejected and down on his luck. He saw me, his eyes lighting up as he quickly walked over. Tang Sua. I stopped in my tracks and frowned. What are you doing here? I came to see you. He rubbed his hands together, looking somewhat uneasy. How have you been lately? Thanks to you, I couldn't be better. I curled my lips sarcastically. If you have something to say it quickly. I'm in a hurry. Tang Sua, I'm sorry. He suddenly looked at me and said very seriously, in the past, it was all my fault. I was blind. I was a jerk. I shouldn't have treated you that way. I know it's too late to say anything now, but I truly know I was wrong. Oh, what kind of plot is this? Chasing wife to the crematorium. Ding, detected that the male lead has entered the chasing wife to the crematorium side quest. Task hint, please, host, show signs of inner turmoil while maintaining a facade of strength on the surface. Appropriately give the male lead hope, prolong the torment of the male lead, and enhance the final satisfaction point. Looking at the prompt in my mind, I smiled, still dragging it out. I find it troublesome. Gu Yan, do you think that by putting on this pitiful act now, I'll soften up and reconcile with you? He was taken aback for a moment, then quickly shook his head. No, I don't think that. I just want to make amends, make up for it. I laughed as if I'd heard the biggest joke in the world. How are you going to make up for it? By giving me back the kidney you took, or by returning the life you burned away? Even though none of these things had actually happened, it didn't stop me from throwing them in his face. His face instantly turned deathly pale. I know I can't make up for it. He lowered his head, his voice hoarse. But please, give me a chance to be good to you. I don't want anything. just to watch over you from afar, to take care of you. That would be enough for me." He spoke with genuine emotion, his eyes filled with remorse and pleading. If it were the original owner of this body, they might have truly softened, but I am not. Gu Yan, put away that cheap affection of yours. My voice was as cold as ice. You don't want to make amends, you're just unwilling to accept it. You can't stand falling from the clouds, can't stand being trampled underfoot by a woman you never even looked at twice. What you call love now is nothing more than the last lifeline you can cling to after you've become utterly worthless. You don't love me. You just love the savior who can rescue you. Unfortunately, I'm not her. My words were like a knife, stripping away the last shred of his self-deceiving disguise, leaving him completely exposed. He looked up at me in shock, his lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. "Don't come looking for me again." I walked past him, heading toward the apartment entrance. "Seeing you only makes me sick. That so-called crematorium of yours, even if it were burned to ashes, I'd still think it's taking up space." I walked through the entrance and never looked back. I thought he would give up after that. To my surprise, starting the very next day, a husband-waiting stone appeared downstairs at my apartment. Gu Yan came every day, rain or shine. He did nothing but stand there, gazing from afar at my window. When I went out, he would follow behind, keeping a distance that was neither too close nor too far. I treated him like air, turning a blind eye. He even started learning to bring me breakfast and send me flowers. The breakfast ended up in the trash, and the flowers were given to the cleaning lady, yet he didn't lose heart, persisting day after day. The neighbors all started gossiping. They don't know our past. They only see a handsome man, relentlessly pursuing a woman with unwavering devotion. A romantic love story was thus conjured up in their imaginations. I was utterly annoyed, that day. I went downstairs to take out the trash and saw him again. He was holding a thermal flask in his hand. When he spotted me, his eyes lit up as he hurried over. "Tang Sua, I made you some chicken soup." "You, Gu Yan." I cut him off. "What exactly are you trying to do?" I didn't mean to do anything. I just wanted to be good to you. "Be good to me," I sneered, taking out my phone from my bag and dialing 911. "Hello, police. I want to report a crime in my neighborhood. There's been an unemployed vagrant harassing me recently, seriously affecting my normal life." "Yes, it's him, and he's holding a bucket. I don't know what dangerous stuff is inside. I'm so scared." Gu Yan was speechless. He looked at me, his eyes filled with hurt and disbelief. The police arrived quickly. When the police sternly criticized and lectured Gu Yan, ordering him never to appear here again, I saw the light in his eyes completely extinguish. The police took Gu Yan away for re-education. The world was finally quiet. I let out a long sigh, feeling the stifling frustration that had been clogging my chest finally dissipate. Ding, host has successfully extinguished the small flame of chasing wife to the crematorium. The method was overly rough, but the effect was significant. Satisfaction points plus 200, points plus 200, System Mall's ultimate new arrival, parallel world portal, one-time use, which can transport you to any peaceful world you desire, free of melodramatic plots. Price 500 points. My eyes lit up as I looked at the dazzling new item in the mall. This is a good thing. Although I've pretty much transformed this world, there's no guarantee that some domineering CEO or White Lotus won't pop up someday to disgust me. Being able to go to a completely normal world and start over is, of course, the best choice. I checked my point balance. The total sum of all those bits and pieces just happened to be exactly 520 points. Enough, without a moment's hesitation. I chose purchase. Ding, purchase successful. Parallel world portal has been placed in your system storage and is ready for use at any time. Please select the target world coordinates. Host, I did not use it immediately. Before leaving, there was one more thing I had to finish. I contacted my lawyer, Attorney Lee. Please help me pursue the legal recovery of the IOU for over 6 million yuan that Gu Yan previously signed. Certainly, Miss Tang. Additionally, please draft a statement for me, stating that I, Tang Sua, and Gu Yan shall henceforth have no further involvement in each other's marital affairs. If he engages in any further harassment, I reserve the right to pursue legal action against him. No problem, I'll take care of it right away. 3 days later, the court summons, along with my lawyer's letter, were delivered to Gu Yan. I don't know what expression he had when he received them, and I don't care. All I know is that from now on, this person has nothing to do with me anymore. After finishing all of this, I took a long vacation for myself. I have been to many places. I went to Northern Europe to see the aurora, to Africa to witness the great animal migration, and to tropical islands for diving. I did everything I had wanted to do but couldn't due to lack of money and time when I was a corporate drone. Half a year later, I returned to this city. My account now has over 6 million more. It's the compensation from Gu Yen, enforced by the court. I heard that to repay this money, he sold the last property under his name. Now, he rents an apartment in an ordinary neighborhood, works a regular job, and commutes by subway every day. He had completely become an ordinary person, just like everyone else. Occasionally, I would see news about the Gu Group in financial reports. Under the leadership of his granduncle, the Gu Group gradually emerged from the shadow of the previous scandal and developed better and better. No one ever mentioned the name Gu Yen again. He was like a shooting star, brilliant and then fallen. Everything seemed to have settled into place. Standing before the floor-to-ceiling window of my spacious apartment, watching the bustling traffic outside, I suddenly felt that this world wasn't so detestable after all. Host. Are you still planning to use the portal? The system in my mind suddenly spoke. I froze for a moment. Yes, should I still go to a brand new, unknown world, or stay here, living this hard one, stable and prosperous life? I smiled. Let's talk about it later. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I answered the call. Hello. From the other end of the line came a clear, slightly nervous male voice. Excuse me. Are you Miss Tang Sua? Yes, I am. And you are? Hello. I'm a doctor from the rehabilitation center. My surname is Shang. I'm Chen Hao's attending physician. Chen Hao, that vegetative first love. Did something happen to him? Well, it's like this, Dr. Zhang's voice sounded a bit embarrassed. Chen Hao has recovered very well. Last week, he was already able to get out of bed and walk. He wants to thank you in person. If it weren't for the information you sent back then, he might never have known the truth. He said you gave him a second life, so he wants to invite you to a meal. I wonder if you're available. I fell silent. Treat me to a meal. Ding. New plot branch detected. The loyal dog man's gratitude. Task hint. This is a hidden plotline that can be chosen to be opened or closed. Once opened, the host may experience a sweet romance. Romance. The image of Gu Yan's smug face flashed through my mind. Instantly, a chill ran down my spine. Sorry, I don't have time. I flatly refused. Oh. Okay, no problem, Dr. Zhang's voice carried a hint of disappointment. I'll let him know. Wait, I suddenly called out to him again. Is there anything else, Miss Tang? Please pass on a message for me. I looked at the setting sun outside the window and spoke word by word. His life is his own, not given by me. The best way to repay the version of himself that nearly died back then is to live well and never get involved with anyone surnamed Gu or Jiang again. As for having a meal, let's skip it. In my life, Tang Sua, I don't want to see anyone related to that damn book ever again. After saying that, I hung up the phone. Host, isn't this a bit too cold-hearted of you? Really? I stretched lazily. I just think it's a hassle. I've finally managed to clean up this whole mess, and I don't want to jump into another pit. My life, I decide for myself. I don't need a man. I don't need romance. And I certainly don't need any melodramatic nonsense. All I want is money and freedom. That's enough. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it,